Congratulations, sir. Please give a big round of applause again. Thank you. As the book release goes there, we will also know about the profiles of our esteemed chief guest. Sudhakar Rao, an alumnus of IIM Bangalore and MIT Sloan, brings 25 plus years of leadership as an award-winning brand strategist. A director of branding at ICFI, he leads strategy for 11 universities, 9 business schools and multiple tech and law schools while mentoring startups and speaking globally on innovation. He has been recognized as C.K. Prahalnad Chair Awardee for Marketing 2024, Dun & Bradstreet Marketing Maverick 2024, and Brand Strategist of the Year 2025 by Flux Awards Hong Kong. Authored 6 books so far, namely Wise Views, Lessons from Game Changers, First Forever, Divisima Business Fables, AI, The Reverse Gold Rush, One Step at a Time, The Man Who Saw Tomorrow. He also chairs FICCI's Education Committee, and adventurer, he trekked to Everest Base Camp in 2023, to Machu Picchu in 2025, and he has cycled over 14,393 kilometers. That's the profile of Sudhakar Rao, sir, and we'll be moving to Shyam Srinivasan, sir. He's a distinguished leader with over 3 decades of experience in Indian banking, financial services and insurance BFSI sector. He served as the managing director and chief executive officer of Federal Bank, where he played a pivotal role in driving transformation, innovation and sustained growth. Prior to this, he held leadership roles at Wipro, Citibank and Standard Chartered, where he was member of the Global Executive Forum. He currently serves as a member of the advisory committee of the Reserve Bank of India, contributing his deep industry insights to the country's financial ecosystem. Welcome, sir. So now we are into the fireside chat. Over to you, please. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Thank you and welcome to this conversation. It's my pleasure and honor to host you for this fireside chat. And a person like you who have been there and done that and went around the world, built institutions yourself. When you first came across Mr. NJSSV's story, either in terms of hearing from others or through reading his book or works, what struck you first? It is the man, the mission, or something that he built which is outlasting?
Thank you and good morning, everybody. You know, when you and Mr. Patel, me, go about this book launch, suddenly it clicked that my journey as a banker at that time I didn't realize it actually started in '84 when I'd finished engineering and I'd started working in Chennai in an engineering firm. But the bug to be an MBA was there, and not knowing finance, I went and bought a book called Finance for Non-Finance Executives.
Big round of applause.
And at that time, the author was Mr. NJSSV. I had no clue that 42 years later, I would be sitting in a hall launching his book. I don't know if this is providence or destiny or whatever. But that's where my initial connect. And I do recall it was a red-colored, hardbound book. In fact, yesterday my wife was looking for that book. If it was there, I would have brought it and shown it to you today. So that is when I started. But more recently, after you handed me this book, between 2 flights, I finished almost 2/3 of the book. There's a really striking feature. The lady mentioned that I worked with Federal Bank. The bank was, for those of you are aware of the bank, it's got its roots in Kerala, right? The pin code is 683101. Most metro folks don't quite relate to such pin codes. It's somewhere stuck in Alua. And this gentleman was born in Guntur. I think there is a story there. They don't quite care where they are born. The pin codes don't matter. In fact, in a book that I write, I talk about pin codes don't matter, zip code does. And I think this gentleman has lived that zeal, intensity, and purpose. That is what people like Mr. S. Those of you who have not read the book but watched the video, you would have figured he was born in Guntur, raised in fairly middle class background, but what he went on to build is something exceptional, and I do think he was somebody probably way ahead of his time in thinking through. So you lived closely with him, so I think striking feature about this gentleman is an extraordinary ability to think ahead and not give up. I think these, we'll talk about it, but to my mind, so your title, The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, is quite fitting, right? People who have vision and people who have resilience, and we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for talking about the common points, not just about the journey of 4 decades, but the convergence point of, reading that book and also showing interest in management education 42 years or 41 years back exactly. So when you said we'll talk about it later, the organizers have not given us much time. So we will talk now about it in terms of the striking features of resilience. For all the friends and academics and friends from industry who have joined here, what is the takeaway for us from the life and times of NJSSV that can be applied in our domains, and what stays at the top of the pack so that it is most useful for us while we are building our teams, building institutions, delivering our duties, raising our families, and also in one way or the other, directly, indirectly building the nation? What is that 1 or 2 features that are going to be useful to us?
No, I think it's almost human, or all of us celebrate success in a very big way, right? We like to follow successful people, we deify success, we celebrate it. Somebody scores a century, somebody gets something. So there is a natural tendency. But if you actually look back on people like Mr. SSV and many others, what is less celebrated is their lack of success. The number of instances they've had failures and the number of instances they have bounced back. In fact, I am putting out a book very soon, and I do talk about this very in great detail. And I'm just pulling out a story from my book and talking to you about Rasgulla. You might be wondering, what is this in a management session? This fellow is talking about Rasgulla. But I really think the art of resilience is like a Rasgulla. A good Rasgulla, you take it out from its syrup, squeeze it, it becomes dry, put it back, it bounces back. That is a good Rasgulla. So resilience is like a Rasgulla. And these gentlemen who had enormous failure and double enormous success, the success gets celebrated, but their ability to bounce back from failure number of times, or just dust it off and move ahead, not lose what I said, the zeal, intensity, purpose or passion, the purpose for which he started never deterred. So I think the striking feature about people like Mr. SSV is the fact that they had an extraordinary capability to bounce back, stay resilient in the face of so many adversities. Because I think there are 3-4 things he had to start and unwind and start and unwind and start and unwind. And this is in an era where capital was a lot less available. Communication was a lot less instant. So I think these are wonderful learnings from people like him, not just for work, I think even in our personal life, right? Nobody goes life without scratches. How do you pull through when the scratches are there or still come out ahead is a good story there.
Thank you, sir, for juxtaposing NJY code vis-a-vis zip code. That's a big takeaway for me. The second thing I would like to come to is you've had a great innings yourself, your leadership journey for so many years. From the life and the work of NJSSV, what comes closer to your leadership journey?
I don't want to feature in that level of, I don't want to sound pompous, but I think the core message I would constantly think about is ability to reinvent continuously. Particularly even now, we keep saying all learning has an expiry date. And everything we know disappears because something else new is discovered, right? We live in an era where by the time we leave this room, Claude has launched the next version of its model or Anthropic or ChatGPT or whatever. So I think learning is constant re-innovation. And if you could dig back, the theme of purpose of what he set out was knowledge, and more importantly, sharing of that knowledge and ensuring people are staying relevant. So I would think there's something that I relate to other than resilience is the ability to stay relevant by continuously updating yourself, which is very hard, but I think that's the message I would say.
Fantastic, sir. Today, there's a greater need, even it was there earlier as well, but the greater need is to build institutions. So what would you say, but in the context of today, that we are getting wrong or we are missing in our ambition to build institutions?
See, the inherent conflict between building something and winning, or is the time outcome, time duration. When you build an institution, you're staying the long game, and in the long game there are many failures. But if you chicken out at the end of the long game, in the interim, then there is no long game. So I think the building institution part is the ability to take the knocks, and again I keep referring to what I think about things. Making boring sexy is the toughest thing for most leaders. How do you make the most boring activity sexy and stay the course? And that's the toughest thing. And I think people like that who start out early, have the vision to stay long and play the long game, can prove that. And that's how building institutions happen.
Amazing, sir. Making the boring sexy and stay the course. I think while writing the book also, we felt, well, several times we had goosebumps. When you stumble upon something that he went through, stayed resilient in what you said, and continued to run the show the next day. He appeared, he showed up in the office, and then he spoke to people, held meetings like this, and then he proceeded with the journey as if nothing has happened yesterday. Several times we had those moments going through. This man has really given a greater example to the world in terms of possibility thinking. We look at several possibilities and we say that none of it is possible and go away, generally speaking. But then where people would have ended their imagination, he would have begun his. For example, starting one institution and it doesn't do well, without any remorse, without any problem, but drawing the lessons, he would quickly, start up another and move forward. Before that also, in his entrepreneurial journey, several organizations, as we saw in the film, did not do well. He thought that it was not his cup of tea and then moved on. We saw these things on and on. Staying the course or the staying power was extremely important. I often felt, sir, that in the meetings that we had in the morning, or we had meetings in the evening at 6 p.m. or maybe 5 p.m. was the last meeting. He was always in office from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. He would tie up his laces to go out for walk in the KBR park. He would finish about 8 high-intensity meetings, almost on an average every single day. And in each of those meetings, he would come across as your HOD. He's heading the entire group, but then that particular department or division would go for a meeting. He would come across as your HOD, as if he was there in your office every single day in your division, and he would understand your problem, and also he would give a solution. But before giving the solution, there was tandoor, high-intensity analysis, tandoor kind of a questioning, and then he would not leave you in the lurch. He would give you the solution, and that last shot, which is a sixer, would make you walk a few inches taller. Yes, I'm working with him, and there is a solution for me to run and execute that solution. So these moments we felt several times, sir. So one last question for you, sir. You can also ask me a question or two. The question I have for you is, sir, if a man like this, NJSSV, would walk into a future university, which is the theme of this conclave, the Success Verse conclave is about future university. If NJSSV would walk into a future university, what would he do, or what would he change, or what would he aspire and push us to do?
Let me take a shot at it. I think he would say, and watch my word here, he would say the future of digital is human, right? He would say the future of digital is human, and he would say digital at the fore, human at the core. And I say this because these are lines I used to use in the bank. So I do think, basically effectively saying that technology is great, but don't lose sight of the human being, right? If the confluence between human and technology intersects well, and you're able to leverage that, I think it'd be a good outcome. So I think since you're talking of a future university, we're living in an era where AI and all that conversations are 24/7 chatter, right? So that doesn't mean human beings are going to disappear, at least not in my belief. So I think he may say the future of digital is human and invest behind it.
Thank you so much. You have any question for me and Mr. Pattabhiram?
For putting this together. The message I would have is a gentleman who passed away 15 years. You both have taken the effort to capture it and present it in 2026. Speaks volume of him and you. The fact that you're committed to building and lasting a legacy and ensuring that that message goes on. So my compliments to both of you for doing this. Right? You could have written about Steve Jobs. You could have written about anybody. You chose to write about this gentleman. Shows how much of a deep impact he's left on you, and importantly, that you want to tell the next generation about it. So, my compliments to you guys.
Thank you very much, sir. Incidentally, Steve Jobs passed away in the same year as he passed away.
That's why I picked him.
2011.
Okay.
So, our friends from audience, would you have any questions to me and Mr. Pattabhiram? A big round of applause to Pattabi sir. He's a great author, wonderful writer, and a teacher, public speaker. Thank you so much, sir, for initiating me into writing this book along with you. I am actually basking in your glory. Any question? Yes, go ahead. Thank you so much for this question, and Pattabi sir would have answered this in a very, very overwhelming affirmative to your question. So the answer is yes, definitely if there's a possibility we would make it. But more than a film, more than a book, we have to live the life that he ever wanted us to live in terms of the ideals, in terms of the purpose with which you build the institution. And sir was also mentioning something. We had a program in Bangalore around 2007. In Bangalore, we had a program for internal, and he said that institutions are built for thousands of years. You will study in an institution, you will have to build in the characters of value, purpose, very clearly followed by others. And if we pick up these ideals and execute in our own lives, in our domains, whatever we do, I think that is the greatest tribute to NJ Yashasvi than merely making movies and books on him. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Any other question from audience? Is it okay, sir?
Please.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's a gentleman there.
Yeah, please go ahead.
And failure after effort, there's a difference. If you have put in hectic effort and it's failed, there's one kind of outcome. If it's failure for want of effort, I think it's digging your grave. So I have a lot of, personally, this is my philosophy. If you have I have a lot of time for people who give it all and may not succeed. Then I think it's worth investing. But if you are just chilling out and saying it's okay, then bad news. So my story to anybody or my message to anybody is, if you are giving it all, if you fail this time, give it all, you'll succeed next time. And I think that's the story of Mr. Yashasvi. We are, pick any success that we see it, almost nobody is scratch free, nobody is like a straight line to success, right? If you read the book Zigzag Effect, you will see that everybody goes through these things. So short answer is, failure for want of effort and failure after effort is a different story.
Thank you, sir.
Fantastic, sir. Thank you very much. That's the anatomy of failure that we talked about.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I'll close with one
Sure,
point.
sure.
I'll close with one point. I know that we are negotiating with the timelines of this conclave, but this is very, very important. In my research, I have put up a model, and that is called the moving ownership, the moving brand ownership model. The moving brand ownership model is that initially when you establish an organization or a company or an institution, you are a single man who is owning that brand. Say T1. And then you recruit a few members, say 20 people, they also share your belief and vision, and they slowly start owning it at T2. You get employees, you get customers, or you get students in your institution. They also start liking your teaching, your institution, or your products and services in a company. And at T3, they own the brand. And at T4, a large number of customers beyond your institution or beyond your company, in entire Chennai, for example, or in entire South India or entire India or abroad, they start owning the brand. You become the pride of the nation. So the moving ownership of the brand starts from one man, goes to 20 people, to 400 people, to 4 lakh, and then it goes to your alumni, it goes to your extended family, it goes to all kinds of customers, direct and indirect, and then the ownership moves along like that. So for this visionary, I think the moving brand ownership model works extremely well. What he started, very quickly he refused to be part of the mechanism of signing checks. He empowered everyone to take the ownership, the employees, the faculty members, then the students, then the alumni, then the nation. Everyone is proud of the work that one has done. And then it is so important to now see that this is a brand which is owned by a large number of people living in this country and abroad. I am personally very happy to have had this opportunity of writing this book along with Pattabisa. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patient hearing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much to both of you.